All right. It is the weekend and in a situation I was not expecting. So I have the H3 unit and, my intent has always been to rent out that unit, but I've had people chasing me because I'm one of the only units that's ready with our code and can actually transfer. And, some banks at this point will allow you to finance based on our code, which means, my unit is a special unit in the market. And I've had a number of people approach me asking if I want to sell my unit, which it's a difficult decision to make because, again, my intent was always to develop a portfolio of properties that I could rent out and have consistent cash flow. But now I'm thinking, with selling the 2-bedroom that I had in JVC as well, hopefully very soon. So we're gonna go block the property in a week. I'm just waiting on liability letter. And then if I decide to sell the H3 unit, that'll give me some cash, but I wouldn't have cash flow property, rental coming in. But what I could do is find another opportunity and rotate that cash. So now that's something I'm considering. So I'm gonna call an agent and see what the offer is, and then I'm gonna make a decision. The reason I'm being so careful about this is because you don't want cash just lying around. Cash should always be working for you. That's like one of the worst things that you could do is have cash in a bank account just sitting and depreciating in value. So I don't want that, and so I want to have a good plan on what my next steps are, and I have a couple of ideas on what that might look like. But the challenge there is I'm not going to get this sort of attractive pre-launch prices. These units I only had to pay 20% during off-plan. There are some good opportunities that I've found, but that looks like closer to 50%. These are developments throughout Dubai that are really close to handover, and some of them are good deals for various reasons, and maybe I'll make another video about that. I think there's a good opportunity there. I just need to do some due diligence. And the way I go through that is I do it, I sit down, I do a report, I see what sort of similar transactions have transpired over the course of 2 years, if that development has had like different phases of handover. And I see, what the selling price is, what the future opportunities are. It's like a formula that you have to carry out. And I want to do that. It's a new project I have to, carry out, and I got to put in the time and work to do that. I just was not anticipating this being something I'd work on right now. Okay, with that, let's call the agent. Let's see what the opportunity is. And I'll highlight some of my concerns to her.
Hi, Hamzah. Good afternoon.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Pretty good. Sorry, it took me some time to, call you back. The problem I'm having is, honestly, I don't know. I didn't know if I wanted to sell the unit, to be honest.
Correct.
Because maybe if you understand my perspective, you'll understand why it took so long.
Correct.
With the off-land price and what the rentals will probably be in the future, my ROI on that is probably going to be 10%.
Yes.
Right? And so, finding a 10% in the current market is not easy. So I think that's one point that I was considering, the return. But the other thing too, and this, once that building really hands over, the pricing is going to increase. And I don't know how many other clients you're working with in that building, but the majority that I've spoken to are all end users, right? They don't even want to sell the property. They want to live in it directly. That's the other thing too. Studios, forget about it. None of them are selling because the ROI on those are even more than 10%. So those are some of the things, I've been thinking about. I think the other challenge I'm having is, with this, client coming in as a mortgage buyer, it's at a weird time because they're right at handover. And what I've been doing right now is working with my bank to get a mortgage on the remaining 60%, right? Because this is an investment property. So I paid 20%. When I get the mortgage, I got to pay another 20%, and I can mortgage up to 60% on it.
Correct.
And I'm worried that if we go through this process and for some reason your buyer backs out, it puts me in a really bad situation because they might start charging me penalties because it's going to take time to actually finish the mortgage process. You know that because I just paid for the valuation last week. And so these are my concerns. And that's why it's taken me some time to get back to you.
Correct. I just want on the last thing that you just mentioned. So obviously we're going to be in a Form F. So the buyer cannot back out. If he does, he will have to compensate you with the 10%. And also, when you sign a contract, the developer will be made aware of this by the conveyancer as well. So the developer cannot, I don't think they can charge you a penalty if this is a situation. Like they would also know that it's not your fault. But anyways, we have the Form F.
Yeah, I know we have a Form F, but the Form F will have a condition.
Valuation?
Not just value. I think the valuation, number one. Number two is that he's able to get successful financing. If for some reason he has any issues with the bank, he can pull out.
Correct, yeah, we do add that clause. However, I'll just tell you something. In whatever sales I've done so far, there has been no instance where the bank has refused mortgage to a pre-approved buyer. I've not seen this so far.
Yeah.
So this has not happened at all with me. So I'm confident because he's pre-approved already by Emirates Islamic. He's a very sound guy. Like I was talking to him the other day. I think he already owns 2 properties here.
Where, in the same building?
No, not here. Sorry, I meant out of the country. Sorry, I think in Lebanon or somewhere. He's just interested in the market in Dubai and is very, very keen on H3 because his friend, I think, is also buying here. That's what he told me. Yeah, his friend is also purchasing in the same building, and he's the one who recommended him the building. Yeah. And he said he's already pre-approved. I mean, so he's sound. There's no indication that that. I even think that he has a higher down payment in case the valuation is lower. He's not strapped for money, or he doesn't have limited down payment, or it's not like he was not a nervous buyer basically, which is what I look in clients,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I get it.
That's what. Yeah.
I mean, there's no reason for it to be nervous about it because it's the best investment he can make right now in JVC.
He was very confident actually about it. So that's why usually I actually was not expecting him to offer at the same time. The moment he viewed it, he's like, let's go for it. Yeah, put in the offer and let's go for it. So usually buyers who buy one beds in JVC, I see they take some time, sometimes a week even, just to give us an offer. So we kind of have to push them. But this guy just straight away said, yeah, it's okay, it's all good.
Okay.
So he seems very sound in terms of that. I don't think he'll pull out as well, obviously, unless the bank refuses him to give the mortgage. I don't see from his end anything could go wrong.
Okay. What do you think the valuation will come out?
I know for the 2 beds, someone else told me that they have come back at around 1 But you know what they should use for the valuation? Because I know 2 valuators have already called me for the same building and they have asked me on my opinion. I've told them all it's between 1.35 to 1.45. And some of them have told me, yes, they have spoken to other agents as well, because they usually call us, apart from using the property monitor data, they obviously call us agents, right, to check the market price. So it's pretty sound. Even Hayati Residence and Avenue, they are selling for 1.2 plus, depending on the layout and all. So if a 5-year-old building from the same developer is selling for this much, this is brand new in front of the mall, for sure it should not value less.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And they will also, sorry to cut you off, they'll also use comparables of similar developments like Ellington for sure. Town X, Autograph, all these buildings are the comparables. And these buildings are in the range of 1.3.
Okay.
We have
I mean, did you show him any other units?
Not with me. He told me he's seen another unit, which he got offered at 1.3. However, he liked this better. So he wants to offer on this first. If it's okay, he's ready to go. He'll give a check today. If not, he'll make an offer on the other one. That's what he told me. I don't know if his friend recommended him another agent. I don't know. But he did inquire through my ad for mine, and I showed him only yours.
Okay. All right. And let's talk about financials. What is his offer?
He's offered 1.275. Okay, I've told him 1.33. He's offered 1.275. I haven't got back to him because obviously I was waiting for you to get back to me. Now, I think I can push him to 1.3 or a little bit more. But yeah, obviously I also would like to be covered from your side. So that's why you let me know what you think about it. I'm trying to get you, at least 1.275 net to yourself.
No, I appreciate that. I just I don't think, for me, I don't think that meets my minimum.
Correct. And okay, how much would you want net then?
Honestly, I'm looking for 1.3.
1.3 net. Okay, I'll go back to him because he just offered. I haven't counter offered.
Okay.
So I'll go back to him. I'll tell him 1.3 is what you're looking for net. Then I will try to get on top to see if I can get covered somehow. If not, if in case he agrees to 1.3, writes you a check today, are you happy to proceed? Provided I will not. I'll drop my fees, or maybe I'll not take a cut.
Yeah, but is he covering you?
Yeah, buyer is definitely paying fees. We actually, my company, we charge both sides. We always take a seller and a buyer fee, and that's why I'm discussing it with you.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah. Even for La Residence, the same thing. I discussed with you. Are you happy?
Yeah, of course. La Residence.
We just have to ask this
Of
question.
course, but
Yeah.
like, here's the thing. That's a
Yeah.
whole different property. I needed that one. I needed
Of
someone
course.
to really support and
course.
selling it because of the dynamics there.
Of course.
But this one's a much easier sell. It kind of sells itself, really.
Right. Also true.
But even with that, I'm just not certain. Because I don't know, where I'd put my money. I think, I haven't thought about it. And now I'm in a position where I sold both apartments, and I don't want cash just sitting in the bank. I'm not saying that's your problem, of course not, right? And I understand. It's just, I know that you wanted me to talk to you about it yesterday, but for me, I need time to process all this information.
Of course, I understand.
And that's the challenge. I don't know if there's any upside with me, selling it now versus waiting just 6 months,
I mean, one thing I can say is that you could invest in a good off-plan project again. There are quite a few good off-plan. In fact, we've got some exclusive projects with us as well. Maybe if you've got enough, you could even invest in a townhouse. We've got an exclusive project in JVC, but there's loads of projects out there. That's what I think,
Yeah, no, I get it.
Definitely instead of keeping in the bank.
Okay, have you
because
sold?
Anyways, off-plan prices are also increasing.
Exactly. Have you sold any units yet in H3?
No, I've been trying to. The only challenge I've been facing, as I mentioned, is the Okut challenge. So when the sellers, I got a deal agreed for two beds there, but the buyers were not comfortable to proceed without a seller having the Okut. So that's where I lost.
Not many people have their Akud yet, huh?
Correct. Yeah. That's the only challenge I'm facing with that building. Otherwise, I have loads of clients.
Yeah.
I could sell one each day.
Yeah.
But it's just difficult to explain to them, and if you're not comfortable, you can't really push them.
Yeah. No, I get it.
Yeah.
And okay. And what did you say that the 2-bedroom valuation came out to?
1.9. Yeah, that's what I've been told. They couldn't send me any valuation report because they said it's confidential. I don't know how, but they just said that they couldn't send it. That this is what the valuation came back.
I think here's the thing. The other thing that we could do is I just did a valuation on the property, the same unit, on Thursday. So they should be able to give me the valuation report on Monday. Why don't we just wait until Monday and see what the valuation comes in at?
Yeah, we could do that. Not an issue. Meanwhile, at least just to hold the buyer. I mean, you tell me if
you could tell. I just don't want to waste your time. See, that's the thing. And I value your input. You're great, honestly. There was some transactions I wish we could have worked. Been able to close together. They just didn't work out. And I think this is what I would recommend: is say listen. He's not going to go below 1.3 net, but he just did the valuation and he paid the valuation fees, and he'd like to see what that looks like before he proceeds, because that protects everybody. Really, it does.
Yeah, sure. No worries, I can tell him that. I think I could bring him up to 1.3. For example, if I got you 1.3 net, are you happy to proceed? Provided obviously we wait for the valuation. If all is good, then we do the forms. Does that work?
Yeah, just tell him about the valuation, because that's going to be good for him too, because then he'll get some insights.
Correct.
Then he'll see what sort of challenges he'll have with his bank, if any, because then he'll be ready to top up if he has to.
Yeah. No, I understand that. Not an issue. He was looking at other properties that were up to 1.4 as well, by the way. Yeah, anyway, what do you suggest I do then? Should I just tell him that we're waiting for the valuation? I'll just tell him straight away.
Yeah, tell him that. Tell him, listen, the buyer's really considering your offer. He came back. He's a little hesitant because he's just in the middle of his mortgage process. He just did the valuation on Thursday, and it takes 2 to 3 business days.
Yeah.
We probably will get it Monday. And I think that will give us an indication on how to proceed.
Okay. My only concern is that if I tell him this, he's gonna come back and say see, I've seen another property. I don't want to lose it, because usually buyers come back with this. I need to make a decision sooner. But I obviously understand, like at this situation, we'll have to wait then because you want to wait and see the valuation. It'll help us. I hope he understands this. I'll go back and tell him this then.
Okay.
Cool. But otherwise, let's say valuation is okay. Monday, let's say comes is all okay. And if it agrees to 1.3, you're getting 1.3 net. Are we okay to proceed? Is it possible for you to let me know by, I don't know, this evening or tomorrow maybe about you being okay with 1.3 net?
Yeah, I can. I'll let you know by tomorrow morning.
Okay, just to let him know, and then I'll tell him, okay, we'll wait till Monday then just for the valuation. So at least one of two things will be okay for him.
Okay, that sounds good.
Okay, Aisha. Hamza, sorry. Yeah, okay.
Right.
Sorry, done. Works, okay.
All right, take care. Have a great
Done.
weekend.
Okay. You too.
Bye.
Take care, bye-bye.
Interesting. I mean, in these situations, the best thing to do is just to extend time a little bit, especially when you have maybe the advantage. And I think in this unit, I have a little bit of an advantage because I know it very well. I mean, I spent hours really canvassing the area to understand, what the value proposition was for this unit. That's something I can stand on, and I'm very comfortable with it. That's the thing. When you have the confidence and you know what value the property has, that really helps you with the negotiation, which is why it's so important that when you're assessing any type of investment that you do your homework. There's no shortcuts for that. All right, stay tuned. Let's see what happens.